Most women, when they buy silk, buy the wrong one, and the wrong one is almost never crepe de chine. They don't buy the wrong one because they can't tell real silk from polyester, or because they weren't paying attention in the shop. They buy it because the silk that looks most like silk, the liquid, light-catching fabric draped in boutique windows and photographed against white walls, is designed for something that most wardrobes don't actually need. It's designed for evening, for occasions where the fabric is meant to announce itself and be seen doing so. It performs that task very well. It's not, however, what French women over 60 wear to a Tuesday lunch, or to a gallery, or to most of the ordinary occasions that fill a life. What they wear is crepe de chine. The difference between the two is not a matter of quality or price. It's a matter of construction, and the construction is the whole thing. The silk most people picture when they hear the word is charmeuse, sometimes called satin-weave silk. In this weave, long warp threads float over multiple weft threads before passing under, a structure that creates a smooth, continuous, uninterrupted surface. When light hits that surface, it reflects in a single direction, all at once. That's the shine. It's structural, not applied, and the weave produces it regardless of the quality of the silk fiber underneath. A thin, poor-grade charmeuse can shine just as much as an excellent one, even when both are woven from mulberry silk, the premium fiber that accounts for most of the world's quality silk production, and the one you'll find in pieces worth investing in. On an evening gown, this is the right effect. The fabric announces itself in movement and creates a luminosity under candlelight that's genuinely difficult to replicate with anything else. On a blouse worn in ordinary daylight, on a real body, moving through a real afternoon, the same surface does something less useful. Light reflecting uniformly off a fabric reflects everything it's touching, every contour beneath it, every place where the garment moves against the body, every shift in the fit. Satin makes the body visible. That's what it was built to do. It also clings. The long warp floats that produce the shine create a fabric with very little structural grip, so the cloth moves with the body rather than falling away from it. For an evening gown cut on the bias, where the designer wants the garment to follow the figure, this is deliberate. For a blouse, it's why the garment never quite settles the way you expect it to. Crepe de chine starts from a different decision entirely. The yarns are twisted tightly before weaving, some in one direction, some in the opposing direction, alternating through the weft. That alternation creates a balanced internal tension in the finished cloth, and that tension produces a surface that is matte on both sides, slightly textured, without a high shine face and a dull back. There is no correct side the way satin has one. The fabric looks the same from either direction. A third weave worth knowing, if you are comparing options, is habotai, sometimes called chine silk, which sits between these two. A plain weave with a softer hand than charmeuse, but without the crepe's structured drape. It is lighter and more casual, and understanding where it sits in the taxonomy helps clarify why crepe de chine is the more useful cloth for serious dressing. The texture is not obvious from a distance. Standing across a room, you do not notice the texture itself. You notice that the light on the fabric is quieter and the light is distributed. Instead of reflecting in one direction, the surface distributes the light across its small irregularities. The garment does not catch the eye. It is not making an argument for itself. The drape is also different from charmeuse. Crepe de chine falls from where it's attached, from the shoulder seam and from the collar, and then falls clean. It doesn't follow the body's contours on the way down. It holds its line and arrives at the hem without incident. For a woman over 60, this isn't a minor distinction. The garment creates the silhouette rather than reporting on what's beneath it. The same blouse holds the same clean line whether the fit is exact or slightly generous, whether the afternoon has run warm, whether she's standing or seated. It's the quality you notice in the way women like Inez de la Fressange or Isabelle Huppert dress. Not that the fabric is performing, but that it simply isn't. The clothes hold their shape. The woman holds the room. The weight range most blouses and day dresses use is 12 to 16 momme, lighter than most charmeuse, structured enough to hold its shape without stiffness. Momme, incidentally, exists as a measurement precisely because silk thread is too fine to be meaningfully measured by thread count, and it refers instead to the weight of a standardized length of fabric, and it's the only number that tells you anything useful about what a silk garment will actually do. 12 to 16 momme covers most ready-to-wear blouses and everyday dresses. Below 12, the cloth becomes too light to hold its structure, and the drape goes soft. Above 16, it starts to feel like a medium-weight fabric and loses the easy fall that makes crepe de chine useful to begin with. It wrinkles less in transit. In heat, it doesn't press against the skin the way a smooth-faced silk does, because the slight surface texture keeps a small separation between cloth and body. When you hold a piece of crepe de chine in your hand, it stays there. It doesn't slide through the fingers the way charmeuse does. Textile professionals call this a dry hand, and the description is more accurate than it sounds. French women did not arrive at crepe de chine through research. They arrived through the wardrobe. It has been the fabric of the French blouse for most of the last century, not because any particular designer chose it for aesthetic reasons, but because it was the silk that held up in daily life. It kept its shape through a full week of wear and traveled without arriving wrecked. In the practical vocabulary of a wardrobe built to function rather than to perform, it was simply the right cloth for the purpose. What makes it the cloth of French women over 60, specifically, has less to do with the fabric's properties and more to do with what those women are no longer interested in. They are not dressing to be noticed, not in the sense that requires a fabric to perform under attention. A woman who dresses to be noticed needs something that catches light from across a room, that announces movement, that looks exceptional in the first 10 seconds. A woman who is simply getting dressed needs something that holds up through 12 hours of ordinary life and looks the same at the end of the day as it did at the beginning. Crepe de chine holds up. A day that starts with lunch and ends with errands does not require a single thought about the fabric. By evening, it is still in roughly the same condition it was in at noon, which sounds like a small thing until you have spent enough afternoons quietly managing a blouse that has made a different decision for itself. There is also something specific about how French women over 60 think about a garment's relationship to the body, or rather, how they think about not having that relationship be a constant negotiation. The blouses in the wardrobe that disappear into the day, that require no adjustment and draw no attention to themselves, are invariably the ones that come back out again tomorrow. Crepe de chine is this fabric. It has been for a very long time. Finding it is straightforward once you know what you are looking for. The label sometimes names it directly, crepe de chine, occasionally abbreviated to CDC. A matte finish is the clearest visual indicator. The fabric should not reflect light from any angle, whether it is held flat or folded. The hand feel is distinguishable from charmeuse once you have touched both. It has a faint dryness, a slight texture, a cloth that stays in the hand rather than slipping through it. Momme weight between 12 and 16 covers most ready-to-wear blouses and everyday dresses. If a retailer lists a specific weight, 16, momme is a useful search term for dresses and structured blouses where drape and longevity both matter. Below 12, the cloth becomes too light to hold its structure, and the drape goes soft. Above 16, it starts to feel like a medium-weight fabric and loses the easy fall that makes crepe de chine useful to begin with. The pieces that reward the investment most directly are blouses with a collar or a button cuff, where the fabric's structure matters. Scarves are worth trying early because the drape difference becomes immediately obvious. A crepe de chine scarf knots without resistance, and it keeps its arrangement through the afternoon. Meaty dresses in this fabric hold a clean line from shoulder to hem without depending on the fit being precisely right. And that's where a great deal of silk dressing goes wrong. Most silk blouses sold online as simply silk blouses are charmeuse. Some are labeled correctly. Many carry only the word silk, which is accurate about the fiber and says nothing about the weave, the drape, or the way the fabric will sit against the body in ordinary afternoon light. A label that reads 100% silk is the beginning of the information, not the end of it.